I think we begin with the basics. Where you from?
Mhm.
What kind of music you do? Why you chose? I think you were,
Okay.
and now you're into music and everything.
So I'm half French, half Senegalese. I grew up in France, and when I was in my early 20s, I moved to Shanghai first and then Hong Kong. I was a lawyer, and I decided in 2018 to basically leave my legal work to embark in an artistic journey. And so I started songwriting, producing music as well. And I released my first EP last year, and then many others followed. And here I am.
All right. Uh, well, sometimes when you're pursuing artistic things, have somewhere down the line it gets really really hard, and very many people give up. My question to you is, what's kept you
Yeah.
for the longest time? Okay, not such a long time, but even just 3, maybe 4 years can be a long time in the artistic industry.
It can be a long time. I feel old already. Um, what kept me going? Well, probably the fact, first of all, that it was something that I sacrificed a lot for. It was a difficult choice for me to leave my studies, my job, my and a steady income, like a kind of life that was upon me and that I could have just embraced quite easily, although with a lot of work, obviously, but quite easily. It was not like a bold choice. So all those sacrifices, so where I come from, every day, if I have a struggle, I just think about that. And so I know that my choice is the right one for me.
Okay. Well, I applaud the resilience. Very many people. So I watched a TED talk that you did a few years back, and not to delve too much into some of it, because some of it was really personal and I don't want to address that in the interview, but you spoke about the freedom and healing that music gave you or made you realize. And for very many people, coming to that point in your life is not very easy, and for some people we leave the planet without ever getting there. So my question to you is, what is your advice to young women to kind of achieve this sort of freedom, with or without the music? I mean, for you it was the music that led you to that point, but for
Mhm,
several other
mhm.
people that may be in music or not, how do you advise them to find that thing for themselves?
It's a tough question, but I think to answer it, I need to take a step back. So in order to reach that goal, that if freedom is the goal, in order to reach it, one has to identify what freedom is all about, right? And I guess the answer is different for everybody. But for me, freedom is something that is very elusive, and a little bit like happiness in a way. And so often we think that we're not free, um, but actually we are, because every day we are actually making choices, which means that we are expressing a certain sense of freedom. So rather than trying to get to be free, so trying to be in this steady status of freedom, I think we should try to um, identify and avoid the things that are actually trapping us. So the things that are preventing us from being free. And I think one of the main trap is guilt, at least for women. We feel guilty very easily, unfortunately, and guilt is a very self-destructive feeling. And if life is a balance, on one side you have, obviously I'm generalizing here, but so I'm trying to simplify my thoughts. But if life is a balance and you have uh, freedom on one side and guilt on the other side, what you need to do in order to be freer is to get rid of the guilt. And in my life, personally, I think what helped me get rid of this guilt was often to surround myself with the right people. And guilt is also a very good flag. It's a very good test. If someone makes you feel down, make you like undermine your freedom, or undermine your capacity to express your own choices and leave your own choices, then probably you have to think twice about this relationship. So I would say, yeah, surround yourself with people who raise your energy and help you embrace the choices that you want to make. That's the most important thing.
Good vibes only.
Yeah, not necessarily good vibes only, because sometimes, life is just tough. So it's not always good vibes only. But, at least think positive. Because faith is all we have, right? So
I agree. So now, often when it comes to Afrohouse, there's a sort of tendency to focus on the DJs and the producers and everybody. And one of the I chose this to be one of my first interviews is because the vocalist contributes a very big part of it, and often they're not recognized. And from some of the tracks that we've been playing over the time, from the first time I heard of you, honestly, when Floyd Levine was playing Kusimama, I thought, oh, this is a beautiful voice.
yeah.
Up, and then listened to a few projects after that, and then now with Cairo and everything. How did you find yourself in the Afrohouse space?
I think it was it started it kind of started with Floyd Levine, basically. So back then I was doing cover singing, so I was in a band. I would perform a lot in Asia and everything, but I knew that for me, being an artist meant more than that. I wanted to do my own music. I wanted to write my own lyrics. I wanted to share my own story. And so one of the first steps to do that was to decide which genre I wanted to evolve in. And I knew that I wanted to do music. I wanted to be in an environment that was related to my roots, so my African roots. And so I started, looking up, listening to the different kind of music that could interest me. And very quickly, I discovered Floyd. I discovered all the other huge producers, very talented producers that we have in Africa. And then I found myself traveling through Europe, and I was in Berlin, and he was throwing a party with the Rise collective in Watergate. And I just thought, I'm just going to message him on Facebook, see what he's up to, and maybe he would be willing to meet me and for coffee or something, and we could just see, what's up. And so we did. We met for a beer. He was with his best friend, who is actually who used to live in Hong Kong. So it was actually kind of a first connection that we had. And we started talking about music, about Africa, about how we wanted to, be that next generation of African artists who try to push boundaries and show what we are all about, what we are capable of, and also show the world our specificity without trying to be more like Americans or British or whatever. No, just us, right? What it means to be artists nowadays first. And we just connected. It really clicked. And so then we had that party together, and then I went back to Hong Kong. We stayed in touch, and a few months later, he sent me the beat of Kusimama, and I started writing those lyrics, and it was really really natural, really easy. And then I recorded it, and that was it. And that was the beginning of my journey in Afrohouse.
All right. Well, I must say it's quite the journey for very many people. They don't get there that quickly because I don't know. I might not. It might not be the same over there, but over here, people like Floyd Levine are not people you just run into on the streets. I mean,
Well, I didn't run into him. I
he's been
I
here,
was there was a purpose.
but he's been here
Sorry, go ahead.
for the same tour that he was when you met him, the Rise. They did a stop in Uganda
Yeah.
with Kususa and a few other people. And yes, I had a chance to meet them, but that's because well, DJ and everything. But so I wanted to ask, what is your perception of the penetration of African music and Afro house in particular in Europe, and how is it received by the people that are there who are not, I don't want to say necessarily African, but also is it just a trend? Because lately there's been a sudden rise. I mean, the music has been there for a long time. People like Mano have been doing it for the longest time. Then now with the rise of Black Coffee, Shimza, and everyone, there seems to be a lot more appreciation. So my question to you is it just a
Yeah.
trend or is there longevity of the music that you're seeing, especially outside Africa?
For me, yeah. Okay, so if we break it down, firstly, my take on Europe, I think from what I've seen, there is a very, very strong appetite for Afro House and for Afro House events as well. Well, before COVID. And what's very interesting is that people who don't know about Afro House, when they are exposed to it, their reaction is very strong. Like even if they're not even listening to house music, you just show them Afro House and they actually love it. So and no matter where they come from, their age, whatever, they connect to it, and that's very, very important. That's what made me what made me realize that it can't be a trend. It can't be something that will just die tomorrow. I don't think so. I think it's the roots of it, of the success of this music goes way deeper than just something trendy. That's what I think. And also, it's a niche right now. So nothing could have said that, for example, someone like Black Coffee or Shinza, as you said, or even Floyd would be so successful. If it happened, it's because there is something more than just, some niche music that some people like, but most people don't, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing, I think, is what we are going to make of house music, of Afro house music. So for it to last and for this success to go even higher, I think, yeah, we will have to be even more creative and resourceful, and in the way we present ourselves, in the way we showcase our music, etc., etc. I think that's basically what's gonna pave the way to a great success for Afro House, and maybe it's gonna be one day, the next big thing, or maybe it will just stay the way it is, which is also fine. But I don't think it's gonna disappear. No, I can't believe that. Impossible.
Yeah, it better not. Some of us, to us. So,
Depends on it.
so finally, you have a project coming up, right?
Mm-hmm.
From what I've been told. Yeah. And tell us about that.
Yeah, so I have an EP coming up on the 21st. It's a song called In Your Eyes with Greek producer, two Greek producers, sorry, Liva K and Jordi. So it's going to be released by Madras in the House. So that's one. Yes, exactly. So that's the first thing. And Choose made a very, very cool remix of it. So I'm very excited about that. And the next big thing for me is my album coming up in September. And that's something I've been working on since last summer. So it's quite something. It's very important, I think, for an artist. The first album is, yeah, it's major. Also because, sorry.
No, I agree. I agree. It's bearing yourself for the first time to tell your story.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, this first album is, I feel quite excited about it.
All right. We can't wait to listen to it. One last question, just an extra. What is your inspiration for the song Your Voice with Cairo? Did you write the lyrics? And if you did, what inspired you to write it?
Yeah. Yeah, I wrote the lyrics. It's the first song I wrote for my son. I wasn't aware that I was pregnant at the time I wrote it. But I knew that I wanted to have a child, and basically I was talking to him from where he was. I was trying to send him some messages like, come to me, come to me. And so yeah, it's basically a letter to him.
That's yes. Thank you.
Motherhood is a very strong source of inspiration.
All right. Thank you very much for doing this. I hope we keep in touch.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Yeah.
Good day.
Thank you.